Hey there, Goa fans. Mark DJ Solitaire here with episode 57 of Retro Goa Explorations. In this series, in each episode, I share one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s Goa Trance psychedelic dance movement, music that I encountered at that time. And we are in my third year of being in the scene in autumn of 96 through to same period in 97. So I got to London in, I think it was probably the first weekend of September 96. Was there for a couple of weeks, went to Return to the Source, and then a private party that Tsuyoshi played at the weekend after. And then I went back to New York for that party at the Science Museum that we've talked about. And then back to London. And I was, going every few days, I was going to the CD shops in town and seeing what was available. So hitting a number of stores, and I remember still when I walked in and and I think it might have been September, but possibly October 96, when I picked up this compilation on Celtic Records. And I'm not sure that I recognize, need to get the sort of the specs on here. I recognized a few of the names. There was a Prana track on here, remixed by Doof and so on. So, I picked up this CD, and one track in particular really struck me. And that is the fourth one on the CD by a project called Wicked Wasp, called Insect Attraction. And as soon as I put it on, I was like, this sounds like Simon Ponsford. Uh, but his name wasn't on there. All it said on the inside was written by Andre and Sid Shanti. So the name Sid Shanti I knew because I had seen his name in a Return to the Source booklet as one of the DJs in the London scene. I don't think I ever heard him DJ actually once I got there. But he is playing at CNA in the summer of 2024 after a long time. And he became a celebrity chef in Ibiza. So that's Sid Shanti. Andre was the tip label DJ, the only one that I remember hearing back at the time. So I saw him at a number of events, both in London and then also at a major one in Tokyo that we'll be talking about in February 97. So he was a major figure in the scene there, quite elusive because I couldn't find a single photo of him online. And but yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, this absolutely sounds like Simon Ponsford. Now, if you look at the vinyl, though, two things stand out. First of all, the project name is not Wicked Wasp, but it's Shanti Druid. And then you see over there that it was done at the Hallucinogen Studios with sonic manipulation by Simon Ponsford. Yeah, I think he also contributed quite a bit to the music. And I checked this with Simon because when I was visiting him last time and photographing a number of his dats, I came across the dat. And you can see that the title is a little bit different. And so I asked him, I was like, do you actually did some of the writing on this? He's like, oh yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you listen to it. So quite why he was credited on the vinyl, but not on the CD. It's a little bit of an oopsie. But regardless, this is one of the tracks that, as I would be walking around London with my headphones plugged in and listening on a Discman, which for folks who are unaware of this kind of retro equipment was a portable CD player, coming from the Walkman, which was the cassette one. Things where it was all very cool being able to walk around listening to music plugged in back then. That's kind of when it started. And so this was one of the tracks that I just had on repeat. Absolutely love this track. I think it's been somewhat forgotten because Celtic Records is just not really around I think not sort of a label that generally springs to mind. There were other smaller labels around at the time as well. I say smaller now, but not the sort of the big name labels, but they were still important labels. And so, they put out some good stuff. And so I was really happy to get this CD at, by the way, and I was going to bring up just so people see how much we used to have to pay for stuff. That was £13. And we're talking 28 years ago. At that time, that was in Canadian dollars, it was approaching $30. I think the exchange rate was something ridiculous, like 2.25. So this was at least $26, but basically $26 to $30 for one CD, which you would buy without listening to beforehand. None of this, I can stream stuff for free, I can just listen to stuff, I can get a rip, and I have a private copy. There still wasn't even CD burning at this point. It was just copying things on cassette or on DAT if you had those. First CD burner I remember seeing was 98 or 99. And first CDJs, by the way, I remember is later in 97. So it was very, very different. So, we bought music because we wanted it. And so, got a big collection as a result. My collection, by the way, is not as big, nearly as many other people's, because I also got a lot of stuff on DAT at the time. So all this is a roundabout way of saying, here is this unbelievable track that I think is sorely overlooked, which I played in a set in Canada a couple of years ago. And it's a doozy. It definitely has some hallucinogen hallmarks. Andre contributed to one other track that I know of, which will be featuring in this series, and he's generally also not fully associated with it. And it's another Simon Posford doozy. And I've got a great story about that one. And I think that's it. I mean, before, as a preamble, lots of stuff, of course, to enjoy in this incredible track. So why don't we get started? Insect Attraction by, well, either Wicked Wasp or Shanti Druid, depending on what your source for this is. Beautiful atmospheric introduction. Those sort of sounds that sort of sound like they're coming from the distance. That jump. Notice how it's different on the repeat there. Goes higher. What a bass line. Then, what a combination of rhythms, harmonic stuff. I mean, then this starts creeping in. Where it's, again, it's just an interval. I mean, this is what's amazing about some of this music, what's happening. Just these simple loops that are really hypnotic. And this melodic stem or harmonic stem is really hypnotic and groovy. Notice that percussion? I don't have the rhythm quite on with my finger here, but I think you know what I'm pointing to. And hi-hats come in. Yeah, you're right. Just that natural rhythm of every 8 bars, something's happening. Snares build up. A little bit of that grind. And again, there's still no actual melody, right? Just these harmonic loops. That riff. Really beautiful, mystical set of notes there. Beautiful combination. And again, it just becomes circular, right? And you have these sort of melodic shapes spinning around you. Wow. And again, we have some more upper layer percussion sort of happening over there with that, but otherwise everything is just kind of zoning you out, zoning you in. And another round. Ooh, now that one's coming back in. Right? All of the layers play together well, folks, which is just like everybody playing together well on the dance floor. And like these voices, right? It was really voiced in this very ethereal and a very floaty kind of texture. Beautiful build up again. Notice the kind of groove that's going on here. It adds a little bit of lightness, but it's deceptive because the harmonies are so mysterious and dark, and this is kind of this relentless, almost like this, you know, this is something you've forgotten sort of at the back of your consciousness or at the back of your whole being that's coming forward. Absolutely love this. Just beautiful sounds, beautiful harmonies. Now things are really building up. We're about halfway through. Ooh. Again, how can you listen to this and not immediately think hallucinogen, right? That gating and the note progression, we've heard somewhere before, and it's on the tip of my tongue. I absolutely can't remember what track this is that this reminds me of. But there's a kind of mournful as well as exclamatory kind of quality to this note progression and that rhythm that's really quite amazing. Love the way that kick truss drops that little bit for that next cycle. Then now it comes back really with a vengeance. Again, anytime you get this kind of distortion that's happening, it really helps you I find tap into that which hasn't been expressed and which is kind of busting to get out. Listen to the textures and the rhythms and the harmonies. That hypnotic loop. Yet again, notice again that insistence coming through. So we get this loop coming back to this final, to the closure. Last little bit of, and don't forget this. I mean, wow. Uh, that track, I mean, let's face it, I don't think it's as well known as it should be. And it's a masterpiece. Absolutely brilliant. Definitely with that hallucinogen flavor. I'm not sure that Sid produced that much, and Andre, as I said, he was working with Simon. He worked with Simon on to some extent on this one other track that I think is the bomb, which we'll be touching in on soon. But again, just the atmosphere and structurally and thematically what's going on, just with that slow build and that sort of hypnotic flavor. And then, there's that driving quality to it. But it again, there's just that mesmerizing loop where, for me, this is that kind of middle of the night kind of time where people have really gotten into a groove, gotten into the journey. And there's this real mystical flavor here of kind of this forgotten but familiar nature to this music, this dance, this state of being, remembering that you're alive as opposed to, the alternative. Why is there something instead of nothing? Um, so it's really like a real awakening kind of track for me. Very, very mystical. I know there's a perfect fifth and a minor second in there. And if what I was hearing is accurate, it's the fifth goes down a minor second, which then becomes the devil's tritone, which is the interval that we hear in Gamma Goblins. And so that was actually an interval that was forbidden by the church. So you go up four notes on a regular scale, on a C major scale. That would be the F, and then you go up to the F sharp, where you go up a perfect fifth, and then you go down. So instead of it being considered minor, when it's fourths and fifths, it's considered diminished. And that was a no-no at some point. So I think that just means there's clearly some real power in this interval. So we've got that minor second, we've got a perfect interval, and what sounds like to my ears devil's tritone. That's what it was called. Powerful, powerful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful track. Which I will now sign off and let you listen to without my commentary. So there we are, Mark DJ Solitaire, ending episode 57 and leaving you with the track Insect Attraction by, take your pick, Wicked Wasp or Shanti Druid. See you next time.